Hi there! So we have a new maze event, which is to be expected since we knew it was coming due to the ongoing runner event, but this is the new revenge maze event, and so we will go through the cost for the paths this time. But it seems like this is another maze event where the best path is probably going to be the main keys path. And what I mean by keys path is the basic first path where if you go down the route, you will see that there are keys on this one and you can keep going through the routes, picking up items, getting the keys and moving on. Now, the reason that I say this one seems to be the better option, it depends on exactly what you're going for, but I've put together exactly how much each of the paths cost and how much currency we can get from resets. And essentially from the keys path, you can see this in the DC event guide section of my Discord server, we have a 10,830 total cost, but you can get 7 sweetheart chests, times 3 corrupted insignias, times 10 plasma insignias, and 12 KALLOS feathers. And so KALLOS feathers are the new event items here. And these will allow you to pick up a new dragon. So the dragon that you can get from these KALLOS feathers is this lovely lady over here, part of the KALLOS collection, the KALLOS dragon. So she is very lively. She, like the animation, she moves around a lot, which I kind of like. But you can get this dragon by playing the various maze events that will be coming up within sort of the next month. And if you pick up these KALLOS feathers, you get the dragon at 25. You can get her and some Joker orbs and also free perk as well if you get 40 of them. And generally, you're not going to pick up 55 of them unless you like pay money or say you have the premium pass. But you can get up to 500 orbs of her from there. But generally, if you're not spending any money, you should expect to maybe get the 40 KALLOS feathers if you prioritize the KALLOS feathers in the maze event. But as I mentioned, that's not the only reward that you can get on the keys path. You can also pick up sweetheart chests and you can also get insignias on these paths as well. So I'd recommend going down this path if you want a little bit of everything, because like you'll go and get this key and then you'll start on the keys path, you make your way through, you'll pick up these items, and then you can see that we've got a corrupted insignia here, then we can continue on. Then we've got plasma insignias a little bit further on. The one problem that I do have with this event, however, is the fact that even though we only get 2,000 currency per day at the moment, which you can easily collect by, you know, just collecting all the gold from your habitats or feeding up a dragon, but you'll see that like I've got 2,680 currency because I spent for that very first movement in the event. But we're only going to be getting 6,000 currency from the resets, and then we do have the quests as well, of course, as we usually do, but we can only get 450 currency from those. There are 2 sweetheart chests, which definitely make sure you pick up the extra currency, but from just resets and the quests alone, that's like 6,000 plus the 450 from the quests, which is less than what we had before. Of course, we do likely have ads coming up as well, which means that we'll have a variable amount of currency that we can get. But think about it, it's more or less like 7,000, maybe 8,000 currency total that you would probably expect to be able to get. And yet the total cost of the path for the keys path is 10,830. So that's quite a lot of difference between, you know, what we can actually get feasibly and how much the total path costs. So do bear that in mind when you're going through the keys path. And in terms of the keys path, if you want to know exactly where you can get up to, so even just to get to the enlightened path in this case, so the final legendary on the keys path, it's going to be 4,810 just to finish off and get the keys from the previous section, and then the total cost being an additional 6,020 once you get to that final point. So if we're getting like 7,000 currency-ish, it depends on your ad drops, but it might be like 2,000 to 3,000 currency that you can probably make your way through on the keys path, the final section. So you might get to, I don't know, around about here somewhere. Maybe pick up the plasma insignias, maybe the mystery food box, but you're probably not getting any further than that. So just bear that in mind when you are going through this event. We can pick up a couple of additional items, say a KALLOS feather on the legendary that unlocks after 1 day, which on Ditlep this will display as recall, but the dragon will be different for you. But you could, instead of, you know, continuing on the legendary keys path towards the end, you could come back and pick up either an extra KALLOS feather for 1,000 currency, or on the 2-day unlock legend, you could get a sweetheart chest at 1,260 currency. But it really does depend on exactly how much currency you manage to save up as to what you can afford, but it might only be one item difference in the end. It's not going to be a major difference no matter what, but definitely save up your currency, see what you can afford would be my recommendation for this event. So you can check all of the costs for the pass individually on here, but of course this doesn't give you an actual count of how many items are on each. So just bear all of that in mind. My general advice is still going to be go down the keys paths, just because, again, the items are there. You're going to get a mixture of the sweetheart chest, the corrupted insignias, the plasma insignias. So I think for most people it's going to be the best choice. And also don't forget that we have double rewards that we can get too. And I mean, we all love getting our bonus event chests. Who doesn't? It's just basically free stuff. So I always recommend watching those if you have the option to times to them. Some things like random chests, I don't bother, but they're definitely worth it. But either way, I'm probably going to be going down this path myself. Wherever you choose is up to you at the end of the day. There's no right or wrong. You can choose to do whatever the heck you want. But now you can actually spend your flight stamps, since now the currency has changed over to maze coins, so you can get the additional coins from the runner event to add into the event as well. So if you did save up your currency, of course you're going to get a lot more than, you know, the base 6,000 plus the 450 from quests, because you've also got the runner event currency that you can take into account. But it depends on whether you spent your currency and got the grid coins or whether you got the runner event currency. So please bear that in mind also. But anyway, aside from just the maze event itself, we do have new Holo, which this time is for Courageous Karma. And, you know, Courageous Karma is just a karma at the end of the day, so it's one that I think most would love to pick up. But, you know, with karmas, I will say that I'm personally just not a fan of them because they are very RNG heavy. But I know other people that absolutely love karmas. And people always ask what sort of perks should you be putting on your karmas. I generally recommend not perking your dragons until you decide which ones you're actually going to level up and empower. But just as a general rule for karma dragons, since they all work the same, usually it's better to just put as much HP, like either HP and Phoenix perks on them, for instance, because then... Oh, we got completely screwed over this time. That's fine. I'm just going to quit out. But karmas, generally, you just want them to be able to block as many times as possible. So usually people would go with a health perk plus Phoenix perk. There may be some exception cases to that in theory, but usually with the karma, you just want to make them survive as long as possible. So that's what generally we'd go with. But any karma, you can use them and you can pick them up for a particular, you know, I guess, arena. So you may have a use for Courageous Karma. Personally, I don't really care for them too much, but it is a cool Holo, so I guess pray to RNGesus that you don't get screwed over quite like I just did right then. But there is that. And in terms of news, I see that there is this section talking about streaks. It seems to not work on PC because it tells us to log into the store every day. It's not working for me on PC, as a lot of things just tend to not work on this game. Probably will work on mobile, but the daily insignias are also working again, so definitely get logging in and picking up your free insignias from the web store as well. And also make sure that you're watching your ads for the runner event flight stamps. Make sure you spend your currency, you know, basic stuff, really. But that is the general news stuff that is going on at the moment. We do have the, you know, the, but what's it called? The heroic race coming up in a few days. So once these events finish, we will have the heroic race that we will have to jump into. Boy, howdy, I was enjoying the relaxation of the one-day resets, but then we're going to go straight into another heroic race again. But we do also have Barry Chan to hatch today, which will help with our quest here. And we will have another barrier coming soon, of course, because now we have this barrier family. We will have more barrier dragons coming up, and I'm sure we will get some nice usage out of them for upcoming events and such. But, you know, I really do like the design of Barrigard. Oh, and look at the name Sunny. That's really fitting considering he's a light dragon. Because, you know, some people see sun and they would think like flame, but I think that light element definitely fits a little bit more. But that's a nice fitting name. I think so anyway. Now, Barrigard, we could actually consider leveling him up and taking him to E5. Especially since Light Arena is actually a pretty bad one for me. So he could be very, very useful. But, you know, it depends on what we want to do. I want to take Michonne to E5 since she's at E4 at the moment, and then we could also take Beauregard here up to E5 and potentially use him during that arena. So I think that may be a plan eventually because, you know, guard skill is pretty overpowered. But to get good usage out of guard dragons, you need to have something to actually support because they are basically just picked for their skill. If you don't, if you were like thinking of a light dragon, for instance, to use, and the only light dragon you have is Beauregard, that's probably not a good idea to E5 the barrier dragon first. It's probably, well, the guard dragon, I should say, first. You should probably put another light dragon up to E5 first, and then take Barry with them afterwards. That's usually how we'd go with, you know, the Walking Dead dragons or guard dragons. Again, it's all up to you at the end of the day. That's just the general recommendation because, you know, to have a good support dragon, they need to have something to support, you know? If you ever played Overwatch or League or something like that, I'm sure you understand what I mean. Like, a support on their own can only do so much. But anyway, I think that is mostly everything that I wanted to go through for now. So those are the ongoing events. Of course, make sure you're logging in and doing your resets, getting your 2,000 currency every day, picking up your items, and let me know which path you're going to be going down in the maze event. And, you know, hopefully we can pick up all of our nice bonus items from the Sweet Revenge, Corrupted Timeline, Plasma Purge, and KALLOS collection. These days we have so many collections going on that it's kind of difficult to keep track. But, you know, as long as you just keep things simple, just, you know, especially with the maze events, just go down the basic path, the keys path, chill out, pick up the items as and when they come. But if you really want to know exactly what you can afford, save your currency until the last day. But I'm going to enjoy doing all of these revenge runs. It's always fun having lots of hundreds of flight stems to use. But, you know, I do like runner events because they're very rewarding, so I guess I can't complain. But anywho skis for now, thank you for joining me, and until next time, hope you have fun.